In the rolling hills of northern England, where grey skies often hung low and hope seemed as rare as sunshine, lived Emma Watson. Her world was small, confined to a tiny cottage on the edge of a quiet village where economic struggles had become a way of life. At 16, Emma carried responsibilities far beyond her years, her slender shoulders bearing the weight of her family's survival. The morning light crept through the worn curtains, revealing a room that told stories of hardship. Peeling wallpaper and second-hand furniture spoke of countless sacrifices. Emma's father, James, had lost his job at the local factory 6 months ago, and since then, every day had become a careful dance of survival. Her mother, Rebecca, worked 3 different jobs: cleaning at the local school, waitressing in the evening, and doing laundry for wealthy families in the nearby town. Her hands were rough, her eyes tired, but her spirit remained unbroken. Emma watched her mother's determination with a mixture of admiration and worry. Tom, Emma's younger brother, was just 10 years old. He was a bright boy with messy brown hair and eyes that still held childhood's innocence. Emma made sure he never felt the full extent of their financial struggles. Every evening she would help him with homework, making sure his education remained a priority. Their kitchen was a testament to careful budgeting. Meals were simple: bread, sometimes with a thin layer of butter, occasional eggs from their small, backyard chickens and vegetables grown in their tiny garden. Emma had learned to stretch every penny, to make something out of almost nothing. The rent was always a challenge. Their landlord, Mr. Peterson, was a stern man who understood their situation, but also needed to run a business. Emma had overheard her parents' hushed conversations about potentially being evicted if they couldn't catch up on payments. School was both a blessing and a challenge for Emma. She was a brilliant student, consistently top of her class. But her worn clothes and second-hand books made her feel different. Some students would whisper, some would laugh, but Emma held her head high. She knew education was her ticket to a better future. Every morning, she would walk Tom to school, then rush to her part-time job at the local grocery store. Her small earnings were immediately handed to her mother, contributing to the family's survival. She worked cash register, stocked shelves, and helped elderly customers, always with a smile that masked her inner struggles. Despite everything, Emma maintained hope. She read books from the local library, dreaming of opportunities beyond her current circumstances. She believed that hard work and determination could change their lives. Her role models were women she had read about, those who had risen from poverty through education and perseverance. Winter was particularly harsh that year. Their small cottage struggled to keep warmth, with drafty windows and thin walls. Emma would often wake up early, collecting extra blankets for Tom and ensuring he stayed warm. Her father would try to find odd jobs, anything that could bring some income. The village itself seemed to mirror their struggle. Once a thriving community with multiple factories and a strong agricultural base, it had slowly declined. Many families faced similar challenges, creating a sense of collective resilience. Neighbors helped each other, sharing resources, supporting one another through difficult times. Emma's evenings were filled with careful planning. She would sit at the small kitchen table, reviewing their expenses, looking for ways to save money. Her mathematical skills, honed through dedication and necessity, became a tool of survival. She researched scholarship opportunities, community support programs, anything that could help her family. Her relationship with her parents was built on mutual respect and love. They never made her feel like a burden, but instead saw her as a source of hope. Her father would often say, "Emma, you are our light in these dark times." Those words would fuel her determination. As night fell and the family gathered in their small living room, there was a sense of unity. Despite their challenges, they had each other. Tom would play quietly. Her father would read a newspaper. Her mother would mend clothes, and Emma would plan their next move. In this moment, surrounded by love and hope, Emma knew that their current situation was just a chapter, not their entire story. She was determined to write a different ending, one of success, opportunity, and triumph over adversity. The winter morning was crisp and cold when Emma discovered the community scholarship competition. A small notice board at the local library caught her attention, a chance to win financial support for young community leaders. Her heart raced with excitement and nervous anticipation. The competition wasn't just about academic achievement. It focused on community service, leadership, and personal story. Emma realized this was more than a scholarship. It was an opportunity to change her family's entire future. She spent hours planning her application, carefully documenting her volunteer work and family's challenges. At the local food bank where she volunteered twice a week, Emma had become a familiar face. She helped organize donations, assisted elderly people in collecting their weekly supplies, and always did so with a warm smile. The food bank manager, Mrs. Thompson, had noticed Emma's exceptional commitment and dedication. Her work at the community center involved tutoring younger children from struggling families. She understood their challenges because she lived them. Some children came from homes similar to hers, families fighting daily battles against poverty. Emma saw herself in their determined eyes, their desire to create a better future. Tom had become her biggest supporter. Despite being only 10, he understood the importance of this opportunity. He would help her practice her presentation, offering childlike but sincere advice. "You'll win, Emma," he would say, his eyes filled with complete confidence in his sister. Rebecca, her mother, was initially hesitant. Years of disappointment had made her cautious about hope. But seeing Emma's determination, she began to support her daughter's efforts. She would review Emma's application in the late hours after returning from her multiple jobs, offering constructive feedback. James, her father, contributed by helping Emma collect documentation. He reached out to community leaders who could provide recommendations, explaining his daughter's extraordinary commitment. His pride in Emma was evident in every conversation, every interaction. The scholarship required a detailed personal statement. Emma wrote about her family's struggles, her community work, and her dreams. She didn't ask for sympathy but highlighted her family's resilience. She wrote about how economic challenges had taught her valuable life skills, budgeting, perseverance, and the importance of community support. Her tutoring work expanded beyond the community center. She started helping students in her neighborhood, teaching mathematics and English to children whose parents couldn't afford additional educational support. Some sessions happened in her own modest living room, surrounded by worn furniture but filled with enthusiasm for learning. Local businesses began to notice Emma's efforts. Mr. Roberts, who owned the small grocery store where she worked part-time, was impressed by her commitment. He started recommending her to other community members, describing her as a young leader with extraordinary potential. The scholarship competition would involve a public presentation. Emma practiced repeatedly in front of her family, in front of the mirror, even during her breaks at work. She wanted to ensure her message was clear, that opportunities should be created, not just waited for. Her school teachers also recognized her potential. Mrs. Williams, her mathematics teacher, helped her refine her presentation skills. She saw in Emma not just a brilliant student, but a future leader who could inspire others from similar backgrounds. The local newspaper got wind of her story. A small article featured her community work, highlighting her family's challenges and her incredible determination. This unexpected publicity increased her visibility and support within the community. Emma's approach was never about seeking pity. She presented her story as one of hope, of transformation. She wanted to show that economic challenges were not permanent sentences but temporary circumstances that could be overcome with education, hard work, and community support. As the scholarship competition date approached, Emma felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. This wasn't just about winning money. It was about proving that young people from struggling backgrounds could dream big, could create change, could become leaders. Her family's support was her greatest strength. They understood that this opportunity was bigger than just a scholarship. It represented hope, hope for better education, better opportunities, and ultimately a chance to break the cycle of economic struggle. The night before the presentation, Emma sat quietly reviewing her notes. Outside, the winter wind howled, but inside their small cottage there was warmth, love, and an overwhelming sense of possibility. Whatever happened, Emma knew she had already achieved something remarkable. She had transformed hope from a distant dream into a tangible reality. The morning of the scholarship presentation arrived with unexpected clarity. Sunlight streamed through the cottage windows, almost like a good luck charm. Emma wore a simple navy blue dress her mother had carefully mended, her hair neatly braided, her shoes polished to perfection. The community center buzzed with nervous energy. Judges sat at a long table, 3 local business leaders and 2 education professionals. Emma recognized Mrs. Thompson from the food bank and Mr. Roberts from the grocery store among the audience members. Their supportive smiles gave her courage. When her name was called, Emma walked forward with steady steps. Her hands held a simple folder containing her application, her heart pounding but her mind clear. She looked directly at the judges, not with fear but with genuine determination. Her presentation wasn't a rehearsed speech, but a genuine story of survival. She spoke about her family's struggles, her community work, and her vision for helping other young people. She described tutoring children who reminded her of herself, bright, ambitious, but limited by economic circumstances. Opportunity isn't just about money, Emma explained. It's about believing you can create change, even when everything seems impossible. Her voice was calm, her words carefully chosen. She shared how she helped her mother manage household expenses, supported her brother's education, and continued to volunteer despite her family's challenges. The judges listened intently. Mr. Harrison, a local businessman known for his tough demeanor, leaned forward. His eyes, usually critical, now showed something different: respect and genuine interest. Emma's honesty was refreshing in a world of polished presentations. She talked about the food bank, describing how every donated item represented hope for a family. She explained how she organized donation drives, helped elderly residents, and created a small support network for struggling families in her community. Her mathematical skills became another highlight. Emma explained how she used her knowledge to help families budget, create financial plans, and understand basic economic principles. It wasn't just about numbers, but about empowerment. Tom sat in the audience, watching his sister with pure admiration. Rebecca held his hand, her eyes filled with silent tears. James sat straight, his pride evident in every moment. The family's collective hope seemed to fill the entire room. When Emma finished, there was a moment of complete silence. Then, unexpectedly, applause broke out. It started softly, then grew louder. Mrs. Thompson was the first to stand, followed by Mr. Roberts. Then others in the audience. The judges conferred quietly. Emma returned to her seat, her heart racing. She didn't feel like she was competing. She felt like she was sharing a story that needed to be heard. During the break, several community leaders approached her family. They spoke in hushed, impressed tones about Emma's presentation. Words like remarkable and inspiring were whispered. Emma remained humble, focusing on her family and the potential opportunity. Mr. Harrison approached Emma's parents. "Your daughter," he said, "represents the best of our community. She doesn't just talk about change, she creates it." His words carried weight, given his reputation as a tough, no-nonsense businessman. The final judging took longer than expected. Emma and her family waited, their hands clasped together. Tom kept asking, "Do you think she'll win?" The tension was palpable, hope and anxiety dancing together. When the results were announced, the room fell silent. Emma's name was called first, not just as a finalist, but as the primary scholarship recipient. The amount was significant, enough to transform her family's entire economic situation. But more than money, Emma had won something greater. She had proven that young people from struggling backgrounds could be powerful agents of change. Her story wasn't just about personal achievement, but about community, resilience, and hope. As she walked to accept her scholarship, Emma caught her mother's eye. No words were needed. In that moment, their shared journey of struggle, hope, and eventual triumph was complete. The turning point had arrived, and with it a promise of a brighter future. Just days after Emma's scholarship victory, life delivered an unexpected and devastating blow. Her father, James, collapsed at home, his face pale and his breathing labored. The family's momentary joy transformed into immediate fear. Medical tests revealed a serious heart condition. The doctors explained James would need expensive treatment and multiple surgeries. Hospital bills would cost more than their entire annual income. The scholarship money, once a beacon of hope, now seemed inadequate against this medical crisis. Emma's world suddenly shifted. Her dreams of education were now competing with her father's urgent medical needs. She watched her mother, Rebecca, age visibly with worry. Tom, too young to fully understand, sensed the tension and became unusually quiet. The local hospital's costs were overwhelming. Each consultation, each test, each potential treatment seemed to require money they didn't have. Emma started researching alternative treatments, medical support programs, and any possible financial assistance. Her part-time job at the grocery store became more critical. She increased her working hours, taking every possible shift. Mr. Roberts, understanding her situation, became more flexible with her schedule. He even offered additional support, allowing her to work during her school breaks. Community support began to emerge. Mrs. Thompson from the food bank started a fundraising campaign. Local businesses, remembering Emma's scholarship presentation, contributed what they could. A collection jar appeared at the community center, slowly filling with donations. Emma's scholarship committee learned about her father's condition. Mr. Harrison, the businessman who had been impressed by her presentation, stepped forward. He connected her family with medical specialists and introduced them to potential financial support networks. Rebecca took additional cleaning jobs, working longer hours to supplement their income. Her hands, already rough from years of hard work, became more calloused. Emma would often find her mother exhausted, falling asleep at the kitchen table while reviewing medical bills. Tom became Emma's unexpected support system. Despite his young age, he helped around the house, reduced his own expenses, and tried to make things easier for his family. He would carefully pack simple lunches, ensuring Emma didn't spend money on food during her long working days. The medical journey was complex and emotionally draining. Some days brought hope. James showed improvement, his spirits remaining strong. Other days were filled with uncertainty, with medical bills appearing like insurmountable mountains. Emma's school performance began to suffer. Balancing work, family care, and studies became increasingly challenging. Her teachers noticed her struggle, but were impressed by her continued determination. Mrs. Williams, her mathematics teacher, offered additional support, providing extra tutoring sessions. Local churches and community organizations heard about James's condition. They organized support networks, providing meals, helping with household chores, and offering emotional support. The community that Emma had served for years now served her family in return. Medical specialists suggested potential treatments, but each option came with significant financial implications. Emma became her father's primary advocate, researching, asking questions, and exploring every possible avenue of treatment and financial support. Her scholarship money, initially meant for her education, was now being carefully allocated between medical treatments and essential family expenses. Emma understood the sacrifice but remained hopeful. Her dream of education hadn't disappeared. It was merely postponed. The local newspaper, which had previously celebrated her scholarship success, now ran a story about her family's medical challenges. The article highlighted their resilience, their community involvement, and their continued hope. Despite significant obstacles, Emma's network of support continued to grow. People who had watched her community work, who had been touched by her scholarship presentation, now reached out with support, advice, and financial contributions. Through it all, James remained positive. From his hospital bed, he would tell Emma, "Your determination is our greatest medicine." His belief in her never wavered, even when medical treatments seemed uncertain. Rebecca's love became their family's strongest foundation. She managed their limited resources with incredible skill, ensuring that every penny was used effectively. Her strength became their collective resilience. As weeks turned into months, the family's bond grew stronger. The medical challenge, while difficult, revealed their incredible capacity for love, hope, and mutual support. Emma realized that their true wealth wasn't in money, but in their unwavering connection to each other. Fee, Unexpected challenge had arrived, testing their limits. But the Watson family was determined to overcome one day at a time, with hope as their most powerful medicine. The turning point came unexpectedly on a quiet Tuesday morning. James, who had been battling his heart condition, showed remarkable improvement. The combination of community support, medical treatments, and Emma's relentless determination had created a miracle. A local businessman named Mr. Harrison, deeply moved by Emma's story, stepped forward with an extraordinary offer. He not only helped cover James's medical expenses, but also created a scholarship fund specifically designed for families facing unexpected medical challenges. Emma's resilience had caught the attention of multiple organizations. The scholarship committee that had initially recognized her potential now saw her as a symbol of hope. They connected her with additional educational opportunities, mentorship programs, and financial support networks. Her community work during her father's illness had not gone unnoticed. Local schools and universities began reaching out, offering Emma conditional scholarships and support programs. Her story of family dedication and community service had become an inspiration for many. Rebecca's years of hard work finally showed positive results. The additional support and medical improvements allowed her to reduce her working hours. She started taking professional training courses, opening up new career opportunities for herself. Tom, inspired by his sister's journey, became more focused on his studies. The family's challenging experience had transformed him. He understood the value of education and community support in a way most 10-year-olds never would. The local newspaper featured Emma's family story, highlighting their journey from economic struggle to hope. The article detailed how community support, personal determination, and collective effort could overcome seemingly impossible challenges. Mr. Roberts from the grocery store offered Emma a management training program. Recognizing her mathematical skills and leadership potential, he saw her as a future leader in their local business community. It was an opportunity that promised stable employment and career growth. Emma's scholarship fund grew beyond medical expenses. The money she had saved, combined with community donations, now provided a stable financial foundation for her family. They could finally breathe without constant financial pressure. Local educational institutions began using Emma's story in leadership workshops. She was invited to speak at community events, sharing her journey of resilience, hope, and community support. Her presentations inspired other young people facing similar challenges. The medical treatments for James continued to show positive results. Specialist doctors were impressed by his recovery, attributing it to early intervention and the family's incredible support system. His health became a testament to the power of hope and medical care. Emma's dream of education was no longer a distant hope, but an achievable reality. She began preparing for university applications, her experience having prepared her for complex challenges. Her academic performance, despite the difficult period, remained exceptional. The community that had supported her became her extended family. Mrs. Thompson from the food bank, Mr. Harrison, Mr. Roberts, and many others remained connected to the Watson family. They weren't just supporters, they had become true friends. Rebecca started a small support group for families facing similar medical and economic challenges. Her experience became a resource for others, turning their personal struggle into a community support network. Tom's perspective on life had transformed. He began volunteering at the community center, inspired by his sister's example. His young age didn't limit his understanding of community support and personal resilience. The scholarship fund created in Emma's name continued to grow. It became a beacon of hope for other young people, providing support for education, medical expenses, and community development. What started as a personal challenge had become a community movement. James's recovery allowed him to return to work part-time. The family's economic situation stabilized, and their hope returned stronger than ever. Their journey had proven that challenges could be overcome with love, support, and determination. Emma's story spread beyond their small village. She began receiving invitations to share her experience at regional conferences, becoming a symbol of youth leadership and community resilience. As the years passed, The Watson family's journey became a powerful narrative of hope. They had transformed their challenges into opportunities, their struggles into strengths. Their story reminded everyone that with collective support and individual determination, no challenge is insurmountable. The new beginning wasn't just about financial stability or medical recovery. It was about the power of family, community, and unwavering hope. Emma had not just changed her family's future, she had inspired an entire community to believe in the possibility of transformation.